Greetings and welcome to you, brave citizens of our new world. I'm Toronto's greatest supervillain and evil genius, Dr. Terawatt. This is our layer 3.1, and today is Questions Thursday, except it's on a Friday. Because I was too busy yesterday going to see Aladdin, coming out in theaters. It's good. That's my review. It's good. Just go see it. It's fun. Hey Doc, what are your thoughts on the pro-Jared controversy? Okay, so, I don't know a whole lot about what's going on. I just know the bits and pieces of this story that I've picked up from Philip DeFranco. I don't have my fingers in a lot of those pies, so I don't have all of the details, but from what I'm told, it started out with pro-Jared creating a community where people were basically able to share themselves, their bodies, their nakedness online. And I think that that was cool that he was fostering sort of a body positivity community of people that wanted to sort of get that, like, that boost of confidence of, like, sharing themselves and being out there and putting themselves out there and, like, really giving themselves that boost of confidence, which you really don't see these days that much. So, like, on one hand, there was that, and I was like, you know what, that's really cool. You don't see a lot of people doing that, and I think that's really neat. And then on the other hand, though, evidently this was used to coerce underage women to share naked photos with him, and he used his position as, like, a YouTube personality, as a person with fame, pseudo-celebrity, to do this, and I think that that is gross and wrong. Obviously, to like the nth degree. That's disgusting and should not have been done. So I'm kind of like, on one hand I was like, oh, that's nice, and then it turned to trash. And so I'm like, I wish that there was just the bit where it was, you know, people doing well, and like him, I heard that like him and his wife split up, and a bunch of sponsors and whatnot have dropped him, and he's kind of like faded into obscurity. I shared a room with that guy at Con Bravo a few years ago, so like with him and his wife, so there was a part of me that's just like, about the whole thing. So that's kind of where I stand on it, really. Hey Doc, fellow nerd question, what Pokemon would you love as partner / pet / best friend? Oh man, so we're back into to like nice questions. I like serious questions, but it's nice to keep things kind of like intermixed with fluffy stuff, kind of make like a sandwich, you know, bad, good kind of stuff. My number one Pokemon, everyone's number one Pokemon number one is Bulbasaur. He has always been my sweet little boy since day one. He was the first Pokemon that I picked in my first version of Pokemon that I played, not Fire Red, just Pokemon Red, way back in the day when it came out for the Game Boy. And I saw Detective Pikachu last week, I believe, and it was great. Not only is it such a good movie, and it doesn't deserve to come out at the same time as Avengers because it deserves so much more attention and money, and I'm hoping that they get to stay in the box office just a little bit longer so that more people can go see it. If you haven't seen it, please, I implore you to go see it. It's such a good movie. Even if you're not a fan of Pokemon, it's such a good film. But there was a scene that involved my sweet baby boy Bulbasaur, and it made me wiggle in my seat, and I loved it. Other than Bulbasaur, my second would be Magnemite. I friggin' love Magnemites. It's Steel Electric type, obviously, and it's just a little tiny floaty boy, and I think they're really cool, and it sucks that you have to evolve them to get better stats, because I would just leave it as Magnemite if I could. But yeah, Magnemite's like my number one if I have like a fighty party and I'm out adventuring and stuff like that, but Bulbasaur, always my favorite, always my sweet boy. A Fiddler's Ring. You've mentioned before attending the Highland Games. Have you ever competed in any events? Maybe in your kilt? If not, maybe do that. I would, Rihanna, if I had the ability to do so, because almost every game in the Highland game is just throw things, like grab a sack, or what used to be grab a dead sheep and then see how high you can throw it, or how far you can throw this tree trunk, or how far you can throw this cannon shot, or how far you can throw this hammer, or like just any number of strength-based games, which I'm not so great at. But hey, if the Highland Games ever comes out with contests for being a smartass, then yeah, I'll be there like bed hair. Docs, as you know, Dr. Warden Sever built me these legs from scratch in an attempt to save my life back in the day. One of my feet has been malfunctioning for a few days, and he keeps insisting that a new design is coming. I'm getting pretty impatient, but I suppose it's worth it sometimes to hold out for the best rather than settle for a civilian doctor with no knowledge of mermaid anatomy. Do you have any experience in the same issue? The issue of picking up a project and not ever really finishing it because it's just not good enough. At what point do you put something down? At what point do high standards and perfectionism become detrimental? I mean, it depends on one project to another, and the same thing kind of goes with people. As it stands, like when making videos and stuff like that, there is a point where I want to get the video out and I need to learn to let it go. I can't just be perfect all the time. I can't just work on things until the end of forever, because then I'll never produce content. And it's getting comfortable with being able to let things go. As they say in the writing business, you gotta learn to kill your babies. It's just learning to make a thing, and even if there's some improvements that could be made, either because there's always improvements that could be made, even if there's something else that could be done, just learn to let it go. And learning that through any process, either through filmmaking or just in your personal relationships with people, sometimes folks just can't be helped, and you have to just stop and let them go and move on with your life, because you know, it can be really detrimental for your own personal health to consistently stand your ground with a person who puts in no effort to try and change, just despite their issues, and is consistently, like, holding you back, kind of, right? Like, you want to make sure that you can do your own thing, be your own person, so to speak. And with writing, it's just like you write a story, and then you go back and you do an edit, and then you'll do another, and then you'll do another, and then you'll do another. And if you never stop and just let it go and let other people enjoy it, then no one will ever enjoy it. That line is in different places for different projects. So it's hard to say, sort of in your situation, like when, what day specifically, or what week specifically, you should, like, cut it out. Having watched your stream inconsistently, what would you consider a good game? This definition changes for people, but what does it mean to you? Good writing, like the Mass Effect or Legacy of Kain series, character customization, like Dark Souls or Atlas, micromanagement, like XCOM 2 or Endless... maybe not that one. Flashbacks of pamphlets. Palantir, you don't like the pamphlets, but the cult loves you so much. They just want to be friends, Palantir. No, but seriously, it depends. Like, it's much more complicated on, like, what makes a good game. That's such a broad question. I like good writing, because games like Mass Effect, in my opinion, games like Infamous even, were really cool in terms of their mechanics, but were enhanced so much based on their writing. Like, Mass Effect for a lot of people is just a really fancy dating simulator, and that's what got a lot of people into it, was the fact that there was, like, a lot of romantic subplots that you could engage in or not. Fallout kind of has the same thing going for it. I like games that involve micromanagement, like StarCraft 2, for example, was a game that had really refined micromanagement mechanics and really cool visuals, and then at the same time, they also had a very cool story that attached to it. So, like, a game can be fun with no storytelling, like Super Mario Brothers when it came out. Like, there was no story to that. You were this weird little plumber dude, and you ran around and hopped on Goombas and hit bricks, like, no explanation for any of this, and you fought a lizard dude and saved a princess. Like, there was nothing to it. Legend of Zelda, when it came out on the NES, was just, you're this little green dude with a shield, and you walk into a room, and a guy hands you a sword and says, it's dangerous to go alone, take this, and that's it. Like, that's it. It doesn't get anywhere else from there. But yeah, it's an interesting sort of situation, like, on what makes a good game. I like solid mechanics, I like solid visuals, I like solid storytelling and good writing, but none of those things are necessarily, like, required to make a good game. You don't need good mechanics necessarily if you've got good storytelling. Games like Dream Daddy, for example, were not mechanics heavy. It was just a lot of reading, a lot of fun visuals, and a good story. Games don't necessarily require a good story in order to be fun. Games like Super Mario and Legend of Zelda on the NES. A lot of other games don't necessarily have a very well-written story. They're just fun mechanics and fun visuals, and it's a fun game. And you don't even need good visuals. Like, again, games like old Mega Man, games like any of the classics that are on the NES, and a lot of games that are coming out these days that are, like, really dialing back the amount of focus that they have on their visual stuff. I mean, Mecha Puppers is coming out. Cassie D20 Love Chew is on that project, and, like, the visuals are cool, but that's not, like, state-of-the-art friggin' PS4 graphics. And it doesn't need it, though, because it's a fun game. When you run for mayor, when... Oh, Doctor, don't tease us, you benevolent science guru. Say it is so. It is. When the next mayoral election comes up, I'm not sure when that's going to be, but I think I've got, like, a year, maybe two. I am going to be running for mayor, and I just going to be running on a platform of communicating with the citizenry, trying to make the city as best as it can, and not surrendering to corporate greed. And as it stands, I know that because I'm on that platform, I'm not going to get in. But I'm going to do it anyways. I'm going to set a standard. One moment. Hey there! Now I must say, in the beginning of the video, that's a fancy-looking mug there. I heard things like those are perfect when trying to drink hot beverages, such as coffee or tea, when in actuality it can be used for any type of beverage. Question, Doctor, where could one pick up one of those Moogs? Ah, yes. The patented Evil Incorporated Moog. That's right, when you wake up in the morning and want to enjoy yourself a hot caffeinated beverage and you pour it into your worthless human hands and it slips through your fingers and you don't get an opportunity to slurp it up and it burns your worthless human hands and you can't add any sugar or cream or any other things that you like to put in your tea or coffee, perhaps. That's right, God left you unfinished. But don't worry, here at Evil Incorporated we have the patented Moog. Made out of some space-age ceramics and printed over here at Redbubble, our patented Moog will be able to hold any number of beverages, hot caffeinated morning beverages, evening beverages, and all beverages in between. You can find it on a link down below this video if you want to go check that out. Say a superhero had the powers of an ancient super civilization, how would you plan on dealing with, them? Also, I've been getting strange interdimensional anomalies from Toronto. Everything okay over there? Well, I mean, it really depends on the ancient civilization, and what powers that would give the individual as to how I would respond. And no, not everything is okay over here. Doug Ford is the PM of Ontario, and our province and country, respectively, is on fire! Would you like a cookie? Yes! God, I would love a cookie, but no, do not give me food. Do not ever give me food. I don't take food from fans or people. I've had people try to give me tainted food in the past, and it's just not, I don't trust it. The main issue with bee farming is that domestic honeybees tend to crowd out local species of insects and can actually gravely damage local ecosystems. Would you counteract this by encouraging people to raise more native bees that can give honey? Also, have you ever seen Australian stingless honeybees? They're adorable and essentially hug their enemies to death. Okay, so the fact that there's a thing in Australia that is safer than something that's anywhere else in the world astonishes me already. And bumblebees that have no stingers and just hug stuff to death is just so cute. Oh God. We got fan art for that last week, and it's just the cutest goddamn thing. Thank you so much, by the way, for sending that in. I deeply appreciate it. But yes, well, I mean, we can just as easily hire in people to, if we expand, the bee farming sort of industry, we can definitely look at different species of bees, the kind of honey they produce, the risks or not involved with that, and what kind of bees we'll make available to what regions, just to make sure that we balance the ecosystem a bit more. There are industries like that have absolutely no research done into them, no money put in whatsoever, so it's just a matter of taking, a week with the right people to go over research and data that they have on hand, do more research if need be, and then make an informed friggin' decision. Whatever happened to Victor? Was he just refused to make Eris or scrapped entirely? Victor actually became Eris. Victor, my old AI, became Eris over time as the AI evolves. Why did you throw your phone? Because it's fun, James Landon. It's fun when I'm done and out of questions. And that is all the questions that we have for today. Thank you everybody so much for sending those in. Sorry that this is coming out sort of a day late. I've got my hands full with a lot of projects on this side here, but thank you so much, everyone. If your question was not answered, feel free to leave it again in the comment section down below. If you have new questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. If you want to buy a Moog, feel free to look into the description below this video for a link to our Redbubble site, which should have the Moog there. And until next time, my bravest citizens, I'm Toronto's greatest supervillain and evil genius, Dr. Terawatt. This is our Layer 3.1, and I will see you on the warfront. End of line.